The gold price is going up, the junior market is about to go crazy, and all the interesting companies are in the spotlight right now. But the real question is right now, who is going to survive in this market? Who will be the next big story? And who is maybe one of the weaker stories? And today we're talking to a company and a CEO of a company who just doubled the share price a couple of weeks ago. Today with me again is Brad from Scottie Resources. You are the CEO of the company. We had our last interview actually over 1 year ago. And Brad, a lot of things happened since then. Not just that the gold price doubled, also, as I said, your share price. First of all, thank you very much for your time. It's great to have you again.
Yeah, very nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
So, Brad, let's talk about the market situation, right? The market has gone crazy the last few weeks, and I have to admit I was on holiday. I was in Norway, and I looked at my portfolio and I saw, oh, gold is going great. And Scottie is also doing great. But not just Scottie, basically the whole market. So you are very well connected. You know the whole market better than we do probably. So give us an overview about the whole market. What is going on? What is your feeling of the sentiment? Is this the top already, or is it just the beginning?
Well, that's the question that I don't know the answer to, and nor does anybody else. But I do believe my convictions are perhaps even stronger today, that I think the gold price goes higher from here. And I'm blushing at the price today, which, I did a panel about just over a year ago. Gold is trading around 2,600, and everyone's always asking you for the prediction on the price of gold. And I said 3,300 because all I did was take 24%. In 2024, gold went up 24%. I just added 24%. Because you don't know what's going to happen. But, in 2024, if I'm a smart guy, which I'm not, I would have thought gold would have went down in 2024. You had rising interest rate. Like, it just didn't make sense, except that those central banks were continuing to buy. So on that panel, I had the highest prediction because nobody wants to predict gold. And that's Rob McEwen, or, we see some of these very big calls these days. But I called for 3,300 for this year, and here we are. Gold's up almost 50%. But where does it go from here? What I see is my theory is intact. I think it goes up, and that's so crazy to say. $4,000 gold, maybe in the end of October it will be over $4,000 gold. Who knows? Maybe next week. So I do believe that nothing's changed in the factors that are driving gold, right? De-dollarization, central bank buying, But my other theory is from equity markets point of view is, our portfolios look a lot better here in the last year, right? If you're, I have a range of majors, mid-tiers, and these juniors. And it's quite refreshing. Even Barrick, which is the dog of my portfolio, it was kind of like Scottie in the sense that it was just sideways, $23 for it seemed like 5 or 6 years, and now talking in Canadian dollars, I think it's over $40, and that's my dog. And then you look at the Newmonts and these blue chip that are acting like juniors, because there's been some very healthy returns on that. But where do we go from here? I think there's a big opportunity in equities because the equities have not caught up to that gold price. And then my other theory is you've got all these fund managers that call it New York, even though they live in Connecticut and Florida now or whatever. But, let's call that New York crowd. Those guys make money on bonuses, on how much wealth they can create within their funds. And it's been fine investing in the Mag 7. You couldn't lose. And that's where they're getting their bonuses. But what I see now is the S&P's rolling over. I honestly go, okay, we're going to have this pause. I don't know if it's a crash. I don't know. But I do know that'll be a rotation of money because those fund managers will not make any bonuses unless they make money for that fund. And I've never seen gold companies make free cash flow like they are right now. I like oil too. Like I'm still shocked in oil energy. I think there's a good opportunity there, but I've always been and on the oil side as well. But yeah, I think we're going to see lots of great opportunity, and you don't want it to go straight up. Our stock, kind of we had this, this event, and in 3-4 weeks we doubled, and that's great. I'm happy that we're settling here just from all these guys use technicals, and I don't believe technicals in junior mining myself. I do rely on technicals for established companies with cash flow, but regardless what I think or not, I like seeing a base get put in there, so it was nice to see our stock price go up, but yeah, we certainly have more room to run, I believe, and we have the news to back that up. It's just not going to be a rising tide situation for Scottie. But I think, we've never get the timing right. I would have thought we are where we are 3-4 years ago, maybe even not with the higher gold price. I thought $2,000 gold was going to light the fuse.
Yeah.
We have 3,800. But you can't deny cash flow. And so it's going to get a lot easier to make money.
Yep, that sounds good. And obviously, a lot of people are approaching us and asking, well, all the stocks are up 100%, some even 400, 500%, right? Should I still invest into those companies, right? And looking at your share price at Scottie or all the other companies, you make up a 5-year chart and you're like, well, this is the 2021 or 2022 top, but there is a different gold price now. All the companies have really, really worked on the operational side, so improved on the resource, on the grade, whatsoever, and de-risked the project. But we are still far away from calling new highs in this industry. What do you think about that?
Well, first off, when people look at a stock chart that goes up and to the right severely, you go, oh, I missed it. That's human nature to think that. But a lot of people, unless you're my age, have never actually seen a real bull market in the metals, right? Even Thomas, my president, he's only ever read about it. He's 10 times smarter than I am, geologically and such. But these guys they've only ever heard of a bull market. I would encourage the listeners or people, there's like, don't look at the stock price, look at the market cap. Look what you get for that market cap and compare it with other market caps. The stock price it's a temporary scorecard, but if you're looking for value, just look at the market cap and see what that can you see value from there. And that's too many people you look at, because I would rather, especially in this sector, I'd rather see something go up 100% before I jump in, because I want to see that there's sentiment, because you'll never pick the bottom and you'll never pick the top. And if that's what you sit there on your screen and dream about, believe me, you're very few people can do it, and you have to have control of the market. And that's a whole other explanation anyways, to pick bottoms and tops. But, keep it simple. Look at the market cap. Look what it's taken to get to that market cap, and do you believe that team or that organization, do they have the forward momentum, and is there latent value in the market cap? And that's kind of how I look at things. And what I do is just kind of like, I have these subsectors of what you're in. I go, okay, what's that market cap of this company? So for Scottie, I'd look at Radisson Mining, great company, RDS, done very well. Similar stories to us, Blue Lagoon, the Maritime Newfound Gold. These are developers getting close to production, toll milling agreements, contango ore. And if I look at their market caps, and those are all great companies, I think those companies are still going to continue to do well. But that's how I kind of get up out of bed in the morning going, oh yeah, there's lots of value here. Either those stories are going to come down, and I have about 8 that I compare myself with. And it's quite simple. Keep it simple. Either they're coming down or I'm going up, but there's no other in between, right? And I see gold is getting more important in the future, and not less important, as people understand, again, if the average portfolio still only has, now these numbers could have changed in the last 3 or 4 weeks, but 0.5-year portfolio in gold, if the mean is 4%, and I'd be banging my fist on the table when I tell my friends who ask for investment advice, which I never give, because whenever you tell a friend something, you're always wrong and you hurt them. But I go, 20% is what you should have in precious metals. Like, pound my fist on the table. You don't know history if you don't have it. You don't own gold. Now, I'm talking about owning, physical gold, right? Like, you got to have it, because if you don't, if you're buying paper gold, you don't own it, right?
Yep.
It's insurance is what it is. And it's not, I didn't buy the gold to make money like I would buy a stock. You buy it to protect the purchasing power of your dollar, right? And that's all this inflation really is, as we know, and, we live in these circles. It's not that things cost more, it's your dollar's worth less, but an ounce of gold will always at least protect that purchasing power. So, people are still investing to try and get rich or make more money or whatever. And I would go, whoa, have some precious metals for stuff you don't touch, and don't worry about what the price is, because, it's going to protect your purchasing power. That's your savings account, right?
Yeah.
And get it out of the banking system would be my advice. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're going into an environment where it's been a while, but when I first started buying stocks in late 80s, early 90s, every piece of crap went up 4x, right? In junior mining, and didn't matter, right? It was just a story. So I don't know if we go back to that kind of environment, but it's just simple economics. More buyers and sellers, the price is going to go up. And I think we're going into that environment.
The interesting thing, Brad, that you just mentioned, the way that you and I and probably most of the viewers think about gold, that's not the general opinion, right? Because most of the people don't really see inflation. Even here in Germany, everybody's talking about inflation has come down, and they make the people believe that things are getting cheaper again and the euro is a good currency and whatsoever, because we are now rising against the US. But the truth is really just that the US dollar is falling, and we will follow with the euro, right? But I think actually, Brad, today is a very important day in my opinion, because a lot of people always said, I only buy gold if bad things are happening in the world. And just as today, I was listening in the news that there are peace talks in Israel, and I'm looking now at the gold price and it's going up. And this is a very good sign, in my opinion, as well, to really prove to the majority of people that gold is not just about bad news. Gold is about preserving your purchasing power and to really go with the flow over the next few years. We have had a time where whoever was responsible for that had the opportunity to push the gold price down to keep a lid on it, right? But now the gold price is going up and it's going very well. But talking about value creation in juniors, you mentioned that during your talk. Let's talk about Scottie, because there is a reason actually for the date, especially where the stock price went up, and we are talking about the news release. So give us a little bit of an idea. It's been, as I said, more than 12 months since we had the last interview. What happened since then?
An awful lot in 12 months. So we had, I'll try and make this quick. 2024, we actually held back. We did that Franco deal. We put a lot of money in the treasury, but I only did 10,000 meters. And I wanted to preserve a lot of that capital because the market just wasn't there. In the last 2 years, I spent every dollar every season. And even though we had great drill success, the market just wasn't picking up on it. And so coming into 2025, or at the end of 2024, I think a lot of people associate our story with my neighbor. And my neighbor is a company called Scottie, and they've been working really hard trying to get the old Premier Mill back up and running. And I always just thought, like, why is this so hard over the last years? And I think people are just assumed that Scottie and Scottie are sister companies, even though we weren't ever collaborating. Great relationship. We were never fighting, but I think that was the sentiment in people's heads. And when we saw them stumble about a year ago and go into care and maintenance, we instantly decided that we just have to divorce ourselves from that story, because our stock was kind of moving in lockstep with theirs. And one of the things that we recognized about a couple of years ago is we're one of the closest gold deposits on the planet Earth, as close as we are to a deep water shipping facility. I'm only 40 kilometers from a bulk shipping port, which is an extraordinary advantage when once you start looking at it. And in fact, that port was built for where my camp is, and I think that for there used to be a copper mine up where I operate out of the Grand Duke camp, right? And so that's what that port was built for. And so when we started going, okay, we've got really high grade. Let's look at a DSO, right? A direct shipping ore scenario, which is kind of a buzzword these days, but Escade Creek was DSO. I mean, the ship concentrates, the Bruce Jack concentrates go to that same mill or that same port, and the Red Chris, those concentrates are going to that port, and they're driving 300 kilometers to get there. And I'm only 40 kilometers down a haul road. I don't even have to go on a paved highway. So when we started working the numbers with that, it started getting, we came up with some interesting theories. And then we reached out to the metal traders and the guys that own the boats and actually ship ore around the world. And we had great response from multiple metals traders. And then you could have saw at the beginning of the season, our newest, largest shareholder is Ocean Partners, which is a metal trading operation. And so they, became our largest shareholder, bought 12% of the company, and that's the financing I just did in the summer. So that's one of the reasons why I think our stock moved up nice and healthy. Ocean Partners have been deploying money all over the world and quite successfully. So it's great to have them there. And they also give us a $25 million US facility for the final mile of building the operation. So that was very big for us. And then we got 5 drills turning. We've only released the news that we have 4. We're getting slowed up on some of the drills, so we just want to get as many meters as we can. So I got 5 drills turning. We got a bulk sample permit in July. 80% of that bulk sample is already sitting at the port right now. That's how quick we mined it. It's already sitting. And so what we're doing is we're crushing that. We're still mucking out a little bit more. We'll get that material. We'll sample it. Then we'll be able to sell that bulk sample. Now, that's great. The Scottie will probably make a little bit of money on it, but that's really not what's super exciting about it. It's that proof of concept. It's that ease of moving that ore, and all the information that we've learned from doing that exercise this summer should be able to build that case so people can see that value, right? So, okay, hey, we did 10,000 tons. It was quite easy to do. This is what it represents. And so I haven't sampled it yet, so I don't know what the grades are, but we're pretty encouraged by what we see. Coupled with that, I have a PEA coming out in the month of October, I believe. There's nothing saying that's not going to happen from my view right now. And, when you look at the NPV and our CapEx, I think people are going to go, oh, this is a very simple project that Scottie has, right? Because we're right on surface, very high grade, implement ore sorting with the ore that we have, less your ore that you have to ship, because shipping is a very big input in any business. And then have a contract for someone to buy that ore with Ocean Partners. So those numbers are all big catalysts. They're all coming, like the feasibility level ore sort, not a desktop anymore. We did a full-blown study, sent 800 kilograms of rocks to both Saskatchewan and South Africa, 2 different technologies. And so we're trying them both just to make sure that we know that we picked the right one. So, and then I've still probably 100 holes I haven't released yet, of which I don't have the information for that. So we've got a lot has happened. We're rushing towards that DSO operation, but at the very least, what we believe that exercise will do for us and our shareholders is price the ore, because we've always been sitting there going, again, goes back to that market cap, right? And you go, okay, I got a market cap today of 120 million Canadian. And you go, okay, my first MRE, and we came up with an MRE this year in 2025. I get yet again another big thing. And it's 700,000 very high grade ounces, but we can continue adding ounces. Like we're not cut off anywhere. We just kind of rush that project to show people how efficient we found those ounces. And then as you see with our first couple drill results that we put out so far this year, we're very good, and hopefully that continues. I'm not sitting on any news at the moment, but we're pretty encouraged that the model's holding in the way we've explained it, the grades there, that bulk sample, the PEA. So there's a lot of information that people are going to be able to get here in the next month to decide, is there value here or is it overvalued? I'm pretty excited that we're undervalued right now, even with the rise in our stock price.
Sounds very interesting. I think we have interesting times ahead with the Scottie stock price and the whole company development. Brad, maybe we can have a look in 2026 already, because you outline what to expect for the end of this year. I mean, you want to go big as far as I understand this. So give us an idea what can happen in 2026. Do you have plans already?
Yeah, well, we had a meeting last Friday, a little board meeting, and trying to put next year's program together. So one of the things that we're really rushing to right now is to bring that open pit material to an indicated level. So we came out with that resource just 5-6 months ago. It's inferred, right? But in order for me to do a feasibility study, which we're not going to do pre-feas, we're going right into feasibility in 2026. I need that open pit material at the very least to be indicated. So that's a lot of what we're doing right now. So we're not necessarily wildcatting and exploring over here, there. We do have some good exploration holes, but probably only like 10 or 15% of our program, because our goal is, look, we're going to show you what this open pit material is worth. It's our view that all I need to do is do that 2 little small open pits, and that'll pay for the rest of the drilling ever in the history of Scottie. So very little equity raises. There might be just, you never want to make a prediction, but, I'm really sensitive to dilution because I bought my shares in this company. And so I think what we'll show, and the people will see by the end of the year, is, look, we could, those 2 open pits are right on surface, obviously very high grade. The amount of revenue from those open pits will pay for any drilling that we'd ever need to do in the future. And you'll see that with the PEA. Our biggest problem is tax, right? Because we have no capital costs. Nothing costs anything. It's very, very simple. When you look at how little money we've raised to achieve what we've achieved to this point, it would be equivalent to some person's whole program for this year. That's all we spent in the last 7 years to get to where we are. And that should scream value to people, or at least show that we're conscientious about dilution. Again, I bought my shares. I didn't start this company. So I think, and then when you start looking at free cash flow and near term, it's our belief that we could be in production in 2028. That's not a Hail Mary throw. That's an actual measured timeline that we believe we can achieve, and everything we're doing this year. So we're spending a lot of money on things I've never spent money on before. Engineering, all the baseline studies so I can amend my permit. But, and another great thing that happened in 2025 is we brought Sean Massey on as our COO. Well, Sean's last job was the general manager of the Bruce Jack mine through Pretium, Newcrest, and Newmont. Before that, he built New Afton. He was part of the Rico Comess deal. So this guy's built and operated mines in BC. He could be the most one of the most experienced BC miners that there are, to be honest. He's worked at Barkerville, New Afton, Comess, Bruce Jack, and now at Scottie. But what he brings to the table to add to, I wave my arms. Thomas is a really, really accomplished geologist. And now we have this engineer to help us go through all these exercises of which, frankly, Thomas, I don't have the experience. But yeah, it's what a win. And all an investor has to ask is, why would that guy come work down here? He's done so many bigger things, and it's not. He didn't get run off. He's had about 2 or 3 buyouts, so he's the lucky rabbit's foot. But to have Sean help us do our mine planning now and all this engineering stuff, we feel we have one of the best team members that we could ever imagine, especially for the size of our company. So, but I think Sean sees the bigger picture, and the opportunity lies within the bigger picture, whatever that might be in the future. So we just feel very fortunate to have that kind of guidance and expertise on our team.
Good. So, Brett, we talked about the gold price, we talked about the market, we talked about Scottie, the latest updates, and the potential future. Do you have any last words you would say to our community that watch the show?
Yeah, well, it's to new viewers, right? You're lucky because you got the timing right with all us guys that have been hanging in here for year after year, but there's a lot of good. I would love for you to look at our company, and there's other companies. Some of these great teams that have really gone through and kept that ship afloat in the last difficult 5 years. Those are companies you should really look at before going off to the new one that, XYZ company just started yesterday. And there's a lot of fun you can have with those things, but they're not really established. But I mean, there's 4 or 5 of our stories out there, and I'm shopping. Like literally, I'm deploying money these days, a little bit bigger than I have in the past. And in fact, I'm transitioning even a little bit of oil, not much, but I am, because there's just a few stories I just have to have exposure to. And this is going to be a good time. It's always timing, right? When I had my success, I really thought I was smart, right? But now I look back at it, I was just in the right place at the right time, and I was smart enough to put myself in the batter's box. That's if I was smart, or I dumb. Either, it all depends on timing. It's a fine line. But I think there's it's tough to find value out there in that public market. The things that are returning monies right now are just overblown. They're inflated. They don't make any sense. And so reminds me a lot like 2000, of which I'd already been in the mining business and I was in the tech business. And the only difference is gold is not $250, it's 3,800. But there is another difference on the tech side is they actually make money now, and they didn't make money back then. But I still think you're going to see a rotation of that money, and a good portion of that money is going to find its way to hard assets. And of course, precious metals is something that you should have some exposure to.
Very cool. Brett, thank you so much for giving us all the insights and all the overview about Scottie Resource. It was a pleasure talking to you. Right, as a fully disclosure here, you said you bought your stocks. I'm also a shareholder. We have to disclose this to the people. We have a conflict of interest here, and I encourage everybody to do your own due diligence. Check out the website. We will link everything below the interview. Brett, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It's always good to see you.
Very cool. All right.